Coming up on No Pulp, we'll tell you if Ohio State should be ranked higher than Alabama.
And Baylor and Minnesota are undefeated, but are they legit?
And the Pony Express is back. It's all coming up on No Pulp right now.
What's up, party people?
Give me Texas Tech. Jared Culver, I think they win.
Small schools can jump up and beat these big teams and compete down the stretch.
That offense is going to be fantastic.
I am ready to go to battle.
Hello and welcome to No Pulp. I'm Will Scott alongside Sean. We're the Scots. And Sean, do you remember when the Oklahoma bandwagon fell over about 2 weeks ago?
Oh yeah, the thing went viral.
Well, that actually happened to the Oklahoma football team this past weekend. The 5th-ranked Sooners falling to Kansas State 48-23. One of the biggest upsets we're going to see all year, Sean. Just a shocker in the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas.
I mean, yeah, the fact that Kansas State was up by so much, and then Oklahoma nearly came back and won or tied the game. They had that onside kick that was then overturned, but look, all the people here should have been listening to my Kansas State plus 24 bet on Beat the Bookie, a No Pulp web series. Got to support the brand there. But I mean, yeah, it's the same old story we've seen out of Oklahoma time in and time again. They've got an elite offense, but they have an awful defense that just comes up and bites them at the worst time in a season. Gave up 48 points in a loss to Texas last year, 38 points in a loss to Iowa State the year before that. And yet they still made the playoffs, so I think they're going to be fine in terms of the fact that they're not out of the woods yet. Like, you can't lose again. Obviously, the margin of error is gone. But Big 12 champs, if they win the Big 12, I think they have a pretty good argument to still make the playoff.
But here's the thing, though. You have LSU, Alabama coming up. The loser of that game, I think, would still get in the playoff over Oklahoma because Oklahoma's loss would be much worse to a Kansas State team.
Well, look, that's what you think. I think a little bit differently. We will discuss that a little bit later on in the show. But it will be interesting to see.
And you mentioned that the Big 12 is now kind of up for grabs. Baylor, the last undefeated team in the Big 12, number 12 in the country, they're 8-0. Are they legit, though?
I don't know if they're quite legit, but I think they have a legit quarterback in Charlie Brewer. He's got top 30 in the country in QBR rating, 12 touchdowns to just 3 picks. Look, the meat of that schedule is yet to come. They've got OU and Texas in back-to-back weeks. But the fact that they've just survived, I think, is impressive enough. They've got a knack for surviving. They've trailed in the fourth quarter in 3 of the last 4 games, and they've come back to win all of them. But they only have one current top 25 win. It's against Kansas State, the team that just actually upset Oklahoma.
I think that the pollsters have completely disrespected Baylor. If they were in the preseason top 25, they would easily be in the top 10 right now, maybe even getting top 5 votes. But why are they ranked behind Oklahoma? Oklahoma does not have a current top 25 win. You know who does? Baylor against Kansas State, 31-12 on the road in the same stadium that Oklahoma just got.
It's all about name. It's all about the name brand. The fact that posters will put Oklahoma, Bama, those likes of teams ahead of the teams like Baylor and Minnesota.
I think that we're going to see Baylor potentially give Oklahoma a run for their money for the Big 12 championship in the coming weeks. It's going to be interesting to see. Another undefeated team, Alabama, they fall to number 2 in the latest AP poll, Sean, behind LSU. Ohio State number 3, but a lot of people think the Buckeyes deserve to be in the top 10.
And I'm with a lot of those people. I think they deserve to be number 2 instead of Alabama. Alabama's got no top 25 wins. They've got just 1 win against a Power 5 team with a winning record, and that's a 5-3 A&M team that hasn't looked great this season. Ohio State, they've got 2 top 25 wins. Don't forget about Cincinnati. They're a top 25 team right now. And they also have a win against Indiana, who is 6-2. People forget about those Hoosiers as well. If you're a fan of the more advanced statistics, the nerd statistics, FPI, strength of record, game control, they all favor Ohio State over Alabama. I think, again, like I said, it's all based on brand name alone. People are always going to put Alabama ahead of them, and the pollsters are just slow to adjust. I mean, LSU just got to number 1, and I think they've had the better resume for quite a bit of time.
Alabama has not played a team that's currently in the top 25. That's
unbelievable for
a team of that caliber. They've scheduled just poorly. I mean, out of conference, they haven't played anybody. In conference, they've played, some of the worst in the SEC East and SEC West. Ohio State, on the other hand, a couple of impressive wins, including Wisconsin this past weekend, 31-7. Their closest game has been a 24-point win. No team has come within 3 touchdowns of beating Ohio State. They have clearly been the better team all year.
Well, eventually we'll see who is the better team in the playoffs. So
absolutely.
It all works out.
Staying in the Big Ten, Minnesota, still undefeated. PJ Fleck is rolling, or should I say, rowing the boat, as he liked to say at Western Michigan. Should we take Minnesota seriously?
It's tough for me to say to take them seriously. I mean, they've gotten a lot better over the last few weeks. I mean, people forget those first 4 games, all decided by a touchdown or less. Minnesota could have easily been 0-4, barely beat Georgia Southern, Fresno, Purdue, South Dakota State. But, you know, like I said, just with like Baylor, surviving is impressive enough considering the fact that upsets happen all the time in college football. We just saw it. Oklahoma lost to Kansas State. So the fact that Minnesota has not been upset to a team like Illinois, which did upset Wisconsin, I think that alone is impressive. But just like Baylor, the meat of the schedule is still ahead. Penn State, Iowa, Wisconsin, all that still to come.
And this brings me back to what you said about the brand recognition, the name recognition. Why are the pollsters penalizing Minnesota for their lack of schedule strength and not Alabama?
I mean, I think it comes back to the fact that the pollsters, they probably haven't been alive the last time Minnesota won a title. That was 1960. These guys don't remember any of that.
The thing about Minnesota that impresses me is that they're not getting lucky. I mean, they're winning games handily. Their last 4 games have come with an average of 31 points, their average margin of victory in those 4 games. They have been just absolutely dominating. Penn State in 2 weeks is going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously going to be the one that I think really is going to let everyone know, is Minnesota serious or not? Can they go and defend their home turf with a big win against Penn State?
That same day, LSU and Alabama play. What a treat for college football fans everywhere. And you mentioned the fact that Minnesota is going to be playing Penn State, another very good team, and it brings up the fact that the Big Ten is loaded, the SEC is loaded. But what's your dream championship matchup and why?
I mean, as a fan of underdogs, I would like to say Baylor and Minnesota, but it's hard for me to ignore the fact that LSU Ohio State would be such an impressive game just from the talent on both sides, the storyline. You got Joe Burrow playing his former team. That's kind of the magic of the transfer portal. You could have a lot of different interesting matchups. Joe Burrow, Ohio State, like I said. Justin Fields could play Georgia again. Jalen versus Tua. I mean, list goes on and on, but I mean, yeah, LSU and Ohio State, I really think they're the best 2 teams in the country. That should be a treat.
They have been, like you said, the most impressive teams in the country thus far. And you look at these stats, I think they're really the only teams with an elite offense and an elite defense. I mean, Joe Burrow, what he's done, he has transformed that LSU offense with the help of Steve Ensminger and Joe Brady coming from the New Orleans Saints. And then Ohio State, I mean, my goodness, what Justin Fields, the transfer from Georgia, has been able to provide for their offense. This would be an incredible matchup that, I mean, would be between 2 14-0 teams.
Yeah.
It'd be unbelievable.
And I think fans are also sick and tired of seeing Clemson and Alabama every year. The last 4 playoffs, they've played each other. I mean, you wouldn't want to see that again, would you?
No. I mean, we've been there and done that. With Joe Burrow, he's one of the best stories in college football this season. The front runner right now for the Heisman Trophy. Getting to see him face his former team.
Yeah.
He's from Ohio, too. He's an Ohio guy from Athens, Ohio. He'd be playing against his former state, against his former team in the national championship game. That'd be really fun to watch. And when we come back, we'll play a little game of BS. Stay with us on No Pulp.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. We're gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. Yeah, Dad. We're getting so wet. Oh,
Welcome back into No Pulp. Time for a segment we like to call the BS game. We're going to throw out some takes and decide if they are BS or not. And first up, Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa missed the last game against Arkansas with an ankle injury. He had surgery for that ankle sprain, But Coach Nick Saban says he will be good to go for the big LSU-Alabama showdown coming up. Will, is Tua being 100% BS or not?
I'm going to say partial BS, and here's why. Because I think that he's going to be well enough to play and probably well enough to play at a high level, but is he going to be 100%? There's no way. He just had surgery a week ago.
Exactly.
There's no way he's going to be 100% for this game. And Tua obviously has a strong arm, but he also relies a lot on his mobility. So I'd be concerned if I was an Alabama fan about his status for that game in terms of him being full strength. Will he be well enough to play? Yes. Full strength? Definitely not.
Yeah, that surgery is why I'm calling this medical BS. Look, I'm no doctor, but that timeline just seems inhuman. I mean, maybe he's an android or something, but how do you have surgery and then you're all ready to go within like 10 days? That doesn't make any sense. It's kind of rare to have surgery for an ankle sprain. Maybe Bama doctors, they're the best and the brightest they can afford down there in Tuscaloosa. Maybe they know what's up, but look, I mean, you have to play in this game. It's like you mentioned, he has to play, but I don't think he'll be 100% ready. Now, the SEC is one of the top conferences in the country with 4 top 10 teams, but the Big Ten might be an even better conference with 3 undefeated teams: Ohio State, Penn State, and Minnesota. Can the rest of the Big Ten challenge the Buckeyes, or will they cruise into the playoff?
I'm going to say almost BS, because I think that Ohio State will get into the college football playoff undefeated, but they're going to be challenged eventually. I mean, we see upsets happen all the time. I mean, just look at what Kansas State did. Will they get into the playoff? Yes. Will they be challenged? Yes. I mean, they play Penn State. They're probably going to have to play Minnesota in the Big Ten championship game. Both of those games are going to be difficult. I mean, they're both undefeated right now, and I think Penn State, even though that game is on the road for them, is going to present a challenge. Is going to present a challenge against this Buckeye team.
I mean, that's exactly why I think this is absolute BS. The fact that the Penn State game is in Columbus. Look, Ohio State has wrecked every competition that has been put in front of them. It doesn't matter if it's been an otherwise unbeaten Cincinnati. It doesn't matter if it's been a good defense in Wisconsin. Ohio State has made them look silly, so I don't think anyone can challenge them. Sure, Minnesota's unbeaten. That could be a potential Big Ten title game. But I'm not sure Minnesota's all that great. They're ranked just 20th in FPI right now. So I think Ohio State will smooth sailing into the playoff. Now, speaking of Ohio State, one reason they are so dominant is because of their defense, and they're led by a guy named Chase Young, one of the top prospects in the next draft. Will, do you think he is the best prospect in the draft, BS or not?
I'm going to say far from BS. Chase Young is the real deal. Just look at what he did last week against Wisconsin. A couple sacks, a couple forced fumbles. He will be the top pick just because the Bengals and Dolphins want a quarterback, but he's going to be the best overall prospect in this draft class. 13.5 sacks this season. That leads the NCAA. Chase Weaver from Boise State is second in the nation in sacks. He has 9.5. I mean, he's lapping the field. He's unbelievable what he's done this year. He's one of the best stories in all of college football. I think he's going to take over to the next level as well.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, not BS on this one. And look, yeah, he might not go number 1 because it's a quarterback-driven league in the NFL, but I think he's probably the top player. He's got the frame for the NFL. He just tied the school record for sacks in a game. And look, don't rule him out either going number 1 as well, just because, look, as we said, it's a quarterback-driven league, sure, but the NFL teams, they've realized not only do they need a quarterback, they need someone who can go after the quarterback. Guys like the Bosa brothers, Joey and Nick Bosa, as well as Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt. Teams realize the importance of a guy like Chase Young, so I definitely think he is the real deal in this one.
And you mentioned defensive ends. A lot of them are making impacts at a young age. They're coming in as rookies and taking over the league. Richard Sherman said Nick Bosa should be in the MVP conversation. I don't know if I agree with that, but that just gives you an idea to what Nick Bosa is doing for an undefeated San Francisco 49ers team. He's a big reason they're unbeaten right now. So defensive ends, I think, really are improving their draft stock because of what we're seeing them do at the next level.
Exactly. Well, sticking with the NFL draft talk, CBS Sports recently released their latest mock draft, and it had 6 quarterbacks going in the first round. However, one notable name left off that list was Oklahoma quarterback Jalen Hurts. Will, is Hurts a first-round quarterback? Is that BS or not?
It's a different conversation as to whether we're saying he's a first-round talent or he's going to be good in the league. Will he go in the first round? Absolutely. This is not BS. Because Jalen Hurts is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I mean, what he's been able to do this year, both on the ground, as you see on the screen, and in the air, is just remarkable. I mean, 34 total touchdowns this season. Some team is going to take a chance on him. He's a lock already for the Heisman Trophy ceremony in New York City. There's no way that 5 or 6 quarterbacks go ahead of this dude. He's done amazing things in Cliff Kingsbury offense, much like Kyler Murray did last year.
Exactly. Like, I'm not sure if he's first-round talent, like you said. This is technically not BS for me, just because I think someone will move back in the first round, late first round. They will take that chance on him. And look, remember, it was around this time last year. You mentioned Kyler Murray. It's around this time last year he finally started taking off in those mock drafts. Everyone thought he's too short to play a quarterback. He's going to go to the MLB. That's his future. And suddenly he was blowing up the college football world. He won the Heisman. Next thing we knew, he was the #1 draft pick. And you saw those stats from Jalen Hurts. I think he's having a better year than Kyler Murray has had so far in this part of the year. So just give it a couple more weeks, and I think Jalen could very easily start moving up those draft boards. Now, coming up on No Pulp, I argue with our special guest over some potential playoff scenarios, and something tells me a certain group of 5 team will make for a heated debate. You don't want to miss it.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average 4-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Welcome back to No Pulp. Will Scott alongside Sean Scott and special guest Matt Bonaparte. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks
Matt.
for having me.
We're excited to have you, and we're getting close to the month of November, which means we're a little over a month away from the college football playoff selections. A lot of different scenarios we want to discuss. I'm going to give you 2 teams, and I want you to tell me which team would deserve to get in the playoff over the other. You're going to debate, and I'm going to pick a winner, and whoever gets the most points will win this debate.
Oh, all
right, you guys ready to start?
Let's go.
So our first matchup, Clemson and Oregon. Let's say Clemson gets upset, they drop a game, and Oregon wins out as the Pac-12 champion. You got 12-1 ACC champ Clemson, 12-1 Pac-12 champ Oregon. Who you got, Matt?
Clemson, easy. Just no doubt about it.
You want to explain that?
If Clemson wins the ACC championship, there's literally no reason not to put them into the college football playoff, especially over a Pac-12 champ Oregon. Oregon has close wins against 2 really, really bad teams. They scraped by against Washington, a team that's 2-3 in their own conference, and against Washington State, 1-4 in their own conference.
Wins are wins, my guy.
Wins are wins? So you're telling me that if Oregon beat them 70-0, it's the same as beating them 1-0?
Yeah, practically, but that's beside the point. Look,
Is it beside the point?
Any one loss Clemson would have at this point, what do you want to say? Wake Forest or NC State, South Carolina? That would pale in comparison to Oregon's one loss. Their only loss is to Auburn. And look, you want to say that Washington's not a great win? I would disagree with you there. They also have a win against Utah in that Pac-12 title game. What does Clemson have on that resume? They've got Texas A&M, maybe. Like, who else would they have? Like, if they take a loss to Wake Forest, that's one of their few opportunities left to get a good win. And if they lose that one, that's not great. And honestly, ACC weaker than the Pac-12. I would take Utah over Clemson anyways.
What?
Yeah.
ACC is not weaker than the Pac-12. And to go back to your point before about Washington not being a bad loss, they're 2-3 in their conference. Stanford and Cal they lost to. Stanford and Cal. Cal is abysmal. And Stanford's not too much better.
It doesn't take much for Washington to get back in the top 25. They're still receiving votes.
No,
They're
dude.
5-3.
Get out of here with that.
Okay.
2-3 in their conference are going to receive
But still,
votes.
the one loss from Auburn is better than a loss to Kansas or to NC State or South Carolina.
Sure, that's fine, but an ACC championship victory is way better than a Pac-12 victory. You can't change my mind
I think
on that.
that's just picking apples and oranges there. I don't know.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really do think the Pac-12 is better than the ACC.
Let's go.
Sean is up 1-0, which is sad, but the
ridiculous.
ACC is not having a strong year. Our second matchup, this one very interesting. We have Alabama, let's say they lose to LSU. Oklahoma, let's say they win out. You have an 11-1 Bama team, 12-1 Big 12 champion Oklahoma. Keep in mind, an 11-1 Bama team that did not even win their own division.
Exactly.
Who do you got?
for that exact reason, I'm taking Oklahoma. I mean, again, where is Bama's resume? I don't understand this. Oklahoma would have wins against Baylor potentially twice, Texas, which could still climb back in the top 25.
No, they can't.
I mean, they could. And besides, it's just like Bama. Where is the good wins? They're going to beat Auburn, sure, but again, you're hoping for A&M to be a good win, just like Clemson. I don't buy it. Give me Oklahoma any day.
For a team like Alabama, you cannot go out there and say that they don't have good wins. Maybe they haven't beat. Hold on. Maybe they haven't beat big names, and we're saying that they're 11-1 on this schedule, meaning they beat Auburn. So that's a good win. Okay,
yeah, that's one. Yeah,
that's a good win, and they blow out every opponent that they're supposed to. You can't fault them for that. And losing to LSU isn't anything to be smug about. LSU is going to be the number one team in the country, and if they go in there and lose, like we're saying they will, that's all right. You lose to the number one team in the country. Okay, fine, but. That I don't think that is going to make you worse than a team that hasn't beat a top 25 opponent. Oklahoma hasn't beat a top 25 opponent.
Not yet, but they will by the end of this. And besides,
one.
Besides, you cannot exclude a Power 5 conference champion for a team that didn't even play for their conference.
I disagree with that entirely. Alabama proves year in and year out that they're either the best team or at least the second best team in the country, and they proved it again this year.
I'm good. Let's have our judge decide this.
I am going to give this point to Matt. Just because of what the playoff committee did a few years back, putting Alabama in, even though they didn't win their division, obviously losing to Auburn, they went on to beat Georgia in the national championship game. Matchup number 3. Let's say Baylor loses to Oklahoma in a couple weeks in the regular season matchup, but then wins the rematch. They win the Big 12. Baylor is 12-1. They win the Big 12 against a Penn State team whose one loss is to Ohio State. So let's say Penn State's 11-1. Who are you putting in?
Oh, you want mine? Penn State, easy money.
Yeah,
their one loss would be to Ohio State. Ohio State is arguably the best team in the country. Okay, you guys just talked about it. Chase Young might be the number 1 pick overall in the country, and they've got a great quarterback. Okay, they're a phenomenal team, and on the other side, you've got Baylor. Yes, Big 12 champion. That'd be great for them. That'd be great for them. Over Oklahoma, who's 10th in the country right now.
That still is a good win.
You're telling me, yeah, but you're saying that they're going to lose that game to Oklahoma in the regular season and then go and beat them in the Big 12 championship. So you're telling me they're going to go 1-1 against a team that's 10th in the country right now, and then they're going to go beat a team that's top 4 in the country? That's ludicrous.
Dude, I don't know why you love all these non-division champs so much. Look, it's the same thing. Baylor would have beaten every team on their schedule at least once. They would have beaten everyone. Yes, they would have avenged that loss against Oklahoma. And again, how do you exclude the Power 5 champ?
I'm going to give this point to Sean because Baylor wins the Big 12. They would get in over Penn State, a team that didn't win the Big 10. All right, last one. The winner of this, since it's 2-1, the winner of this last argument wins the whole thing. So here we go. Let's say chaos happens. Oklahoma loses again. Bama loses twice. Oregon and Utah both lose again. SMU finishes at 13-0 as the American Athletic Conference champion. Do you put SMU in? Or literally anyone else? Sean,
give me the Mustangs. Give those undefeated teams a chance. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't handle the truth or something?
You're not riding the Pony Express?
Come on. Look, anytime a team wins every game in front of them, look, that's all they can control. You can't control how good their conference schedule is. You can't control, look, they beat TCU on the road. That's a Power 5 win. Look, would they want TCU to beat 11-1 and be this great team? Yes, but they cannot control how good TCU is. You beat everyone and put in front of you. That's all they can do. They've avoided the upsets. We talk about Oklahoma, Georgia. They've lost to teams that they should not have lost to. SMU has avoided all those upsets. Give them the chance.
America, do you hear me? Do you hear this, man? Are you hearing this?
They're hearing me. That's good logic.
Oh, my Lord. There is no reason for SMU to make this playoff. Their best win is going to be TCU. TCU. TCU?
What do you want them to do? They're stuck in the American.
Okay.
They're stuck in the American. That's
sure,
all they can do.
That's fine. That's a great point, Sean. They're stuck in the American. But I don't care, okay? There's no reason a group of 5 teams should ever win the championship or should ever be in the college football playoff if they have a weakest schedule like this. Come on!
Again, they
if
avoid
a bunch
upsets.
of toddlers beat a bunch of other toddlers, they shouldn't be put into a group with a bunch of giants. There's no reason for it, especially if those giants lose against other giants. Toddlers are never going to go up against them.
UCF beat Auburn in the Peach Bowl, so it can happen.
All right. Matt wins. That was a fantastic
Are you serious?
argument. I didn't really get the toddler giants thing.
What? I'll get you
that was
$5
fantastic though.
after.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When we come back on No Pulp, Sean is gonna make do on a little bet that we made before the show. Stay with us.
Running out of time here on No Pulp, so it's time to get to our picks in this week's big games. Will not too many great games, but we will break them down anyways. Starting with a top 10 SEC battle down in Jacksonville. It's for the Georgia and Florida in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, an early November elimination game. Who you got?
You sure you don't want to go down to Jacksonville? I think us two SEC guys would have a good time.
I think we would have a great time down there.
I got to go with Florida.
Really?
I think, call me crazy, but I think Kyle Trask outduels Jacob Fromm in
You're
this
crazy.
game.
You're crazy.
I think that he's been better. He's 9th in the country in QBR right now. Jake Fromm has been inconsistent in some big games. I don't trust that guy. Florida wins.
I think Georgia's got the experience. I think they got the talent. They'll take that one. But SMU and Memphis is another big game. College game day is going to Memphis, Tennessee. That is crazy. This could have huge New Year's Six implications. Who you got?
SMU, I know they've had some close games, but they have been finding ways to win those games. Give me the Mustangs. They get to 9-0. Their offense has been rolling. Shane Bussell has been fantastic for them. Give me the Mustangs.
That's true, but I like Memphis at home. They beat an SEC team. I'll take Memphis. Finally, we got Oregon and USC. Oregon, probably the best hope for the Pac-12 to make the playoff. Do they beat USC on the road?
I think so. USC with a big win at against Utah a couple weeks back. That game was at home for USC, but I don't think that happens again.
I think Herbert's the best quarterback in the country. I like the Ducks. And that brings us to our final word.
Okay. I think that there's no doubt that the best story in college football is going on in Dallas, Texas. The SMU Mustangs are 8-0. They're ranked for the first time since 1986, the year before the death penalty. The football program was shut down for 3 years, and SMU has never been the same until now. Just 8 games into the second year of the Sonny Dykes era, the Mustangs have already clinched their winningest season in 35 years. Ed Orgeron, LSU, fantastic. This 2019 Baylor team, so impressive. But the best story in college football right now is being ridden by the Pony Express. They're back, and they aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
I'd like to use my final word to point out how ridiculous the University of Wisconsin is acting right now. The team's tradition is to play the song Jump Around at the start of the fourth quarter. That's all fine and good. I love traditions. But now the team's upset that Illinois and Ohio State have both used that song for some good trolling while beating Wisconsin. Here's the thing. You want to stop these teams from trolling you with your own song? How about you go out and beat them in the first place? Wisconsin's out here talking about holding a grudge for next year's games. How about you just beat them in the first place, all right? Spend a little more time worrying about winning and less about whining that your opponents are mocking you. Problem solved. And to top it all off, guess what Wisconsin tweeted after they beat Michigan State a few weeks back? The blowout scores from wins against Michigan State, Michigan, and Central Michigan, saying they owned the Upper Peninsula of the state. Come on, give me a break. Mock the state of Michigan and then complain about being mocked? What a bunch of hypocrites.
They're not really jumping around in Madison right now, are they?
No, they're definitely not. And that will do it for another episode of No Pulp for the Scott brothers. He's Will, I'm Sean. Have a great night. All right, Will. You had your game, LSU and Auburn. I'm sorry. That was a tough loss for me. But congratulations to your Tigers. Let's go beat Bama now instead. All right? Good job.
Yes, sir. We're gonna win that game.